Hello everyone and welcome to day number 3 of the 2025 Isle of Wight Masters. This is the official recap, proudly presented by Coatsi Chess, and today we have something very exciting for you all. We are going to be going over round number 4, my own analysis, and then for round number 5 we have Grandmaster Bobby Cheng from Australia and FIDE Master Lorenzo Fava from Italy, who will be going over their own analysis of their game in round number 5. So without further ado, let's get into game number 1 from round number 4 from Grandmaster Bobby Cheng from Australia versus Borna Deranaxi, who is a FIDE master. And without further ado, let's get into the chess. So Bobby starts off with one knight f3, the Reti opening, and this is a fantastic choice already because as you can see, he's rated 200 points higher than Borna, and this, for black, from Borna's perspective, is very hard to prepare against. Since Bobby's such a strong grandmaster, one knight f3 is a very difficult move because it gives white so much flexibility in the position. There can be many openings which arise from this, and this is why it's a great choice already, right from move 1. So Borna replies with one knight f6, we have c4, so already we can see in English here, and Borna opts for e6, knight c3 from Bobby, d5 and d4. And already we can see, as of move 4, this game has transposed into a queen's gambit declined. And this shows you, Bobby could have gone for 1d4 right away from the start, but instead he played knight f3, and now Borna might have not prepared to play against a queen's gambit declined. And this is why it's a very effective choice, from Bobby. So we have bishop e7 from Borna. And here was a very interesting choice by Bobby. He went for c takes d5. And there's many options that are possible here, keeping the tension. Ones like g3, we're looking to fianchetto the bishop. Very similar going into some kind of Catalan. We have bishop to g5, and also just something like bishop to bishop to f4. All moves which are very playable, but Bobby opts for c takes d5. We have e takes back from Borna, bishop f4, castles, e3, looking to bring out the light-scored bishop from Bobby. Bishop comes out to f5, and here we have queen to b3 from Bobby. So you can see Bobby's putting pressure on the d5 pawn and the pawn on b7, and let's see how Borna reacts. So she plays knight to c6, because taking on b7 right away isn't an option for Bobby. In many of these lines, you see that the rook comes to b8, and there's a lot of play that black gets in these positions. And also here, the main point of why Bobby in the game plays a3 rather than queen takes b7 is because after queen takes b7 from Bobby, knight to b4, but I'll put this on the board, here, knight to b4, you can already see the bishop's coming and the knight is coordinating on this c2 square. And you can see that we're going to have the rook coming over to the b file at some point. And that's why Bobby first, because he doesn't want to allow this knight b4, he plays a3. Because now when he takes, knight b4 is not an option. And this is why this is slightly better. So after this, knight to a5 is played in the game. And we have queen to a2, moving away from the attack from the knight. Bishop e6 is played. And now we have knight g5 straight away from Bobby. Borna just played bishop t6, and Bobby's looking to get this bishop pair. And because of that, Borna comes back. So you can already see that Bobby's kind of gained a tempo, and this knight is slightly better placed than it was on f3 because it was attacking this bishop, and now it's got a tempo up. So after bishop d5, we have bishop d2, and then we have this really nice move that I like from Borna, c6. And this protects the pawn chain, but also as well, you can see that this knight on a5 is slightly misplaced. So the idea is that Borna is looking to go b5 and then plant this knight on the c4 square, which you see in many lines, and here is actually very nice. So it's very interesting to see how Bobby counteracts this. So we have castles, b5, going forward with the plan, looking to improve this knight on the c4 square. Then Bobby plays b3. He doesn't want to allow this knight to come into this strong c5 outpost. So we have rook to c8 from Borna, putting the rook on the semi-open file. And now since b5 has been played, you can see that this c6 pawn is slightly weak. So this rook just helps add extra protection to this pawn. We then have h3. You see that Bobby just plays a prophylactic move, giving some space to the king, because always we don't want to get back rank checkmated in chess. And this is always a useful move, and we can see that's why Bobby played it. We have rook to e8, developing this rook from the f8 square. We now have knight to f3. Bobby realises that his knight's done a great job on g5, hitting this bishop gaining tempo, but now it's not doing so much, and he wants to come back, potentially to reroute it into the centre of the board, where it's got a better function because it's attacking more critical squares once it lands on e5. So we have knight d4, Borna improves the knight as well, and then we have rook fc1. So we can see actually this is similar to the recap yesterday in game number 2 with Grandmaster Thomas Bjersen, when he improved the f rook and kept the a rook on the a file. And here we can see a similar kind of idea. Now with the f file closed, with the pawns on the file and the f file not being open, this pawn on f2 is never a real worry for white. It's not going to feel too much pressure. Therefore, this f rook can improve, and as we see here, the pawn on b5, most likely something like a4 can be played later on, and once this pawn captures and opens up, this rook will actually be placed very well on the a file. So that's why Bobby opts to playing the f rook rather than the a rook to c1. We then have bishop to d6, challenging the bishop, and Bobby plays here captures, queen captures, and queen to b2. Simply now, the queen, Bobby realises that it's not too well placed on a2, and now a potential idea is to take here and then bring the queen to c3, both attacking the knight and improving its position than it once was on a2. We now have queen to h6. Borna's bringing the queen over to the other side of the board. Potential ideas are with knight g5 and potential sacrifices on h6. And we have knight to e5 from Bobby, centralising this knight. As we said, the knight came from g5 back to f3, and now on e5 it's a great piece. You can see now the critical squares it's attacking, as opposed to when it was on g5 it was only attacking f7, but now you can see it's attacking this backwards c6 pawn. So we have pawn to f6 from Borna, and this is a slight inaccuracy simply because it's now weakening the f7 square, and it's also weakening this square here in g6, which should become critical later on. A slightly deeper point as well is that with the pawn on f6, there's now never an idea of any rook lifts coming over here to the g or f file until this pawn's moved again, but with the bishop here, that's a lot of moves. So therefore, that's why this one is an inaccuracy. So here, instead, knight g5 was better than playing f6, because now, as we said, there's some potential sacks we have here on this h3 pawn. So after f6, another reason I should mention is that this helps White's knight, because now it comes to d3, and you can see now it's looking at this nice c5 square, which is weak from black, can also pivot to f4, and White has now got a great knight here on d3. When you look when it was first here on this square here on g5, this knight is actually doing quite a good job now in d3. It's got a lot of flexibility in the position, and it shows you in these closed structures why the knights are actually preferable to the bishops, because here with the knight you can see that this knight has lots of options to jump, whereas this bishop here on e2, it can just look in the diagonal, but it's not as effective when the structure is closed. So we have knight back to b7. Unfortunately, this is a slight inaccuracy. The reason is because this knight now is too slow. You see it's coming back, trying to potentially support a c5 break and reroute, but here Borna overlooked the next move, which was from Bobby, which is a very, very nice sequence and positional understanding. We have knight takes on e4, bishop takes, and this very strong move, a4. On the surface, this move, you kind of wonder, well, why is a4 so strong? Then you start to realise when you see a little bit deeper into the position. So in the game, queen g5 was played, which is a slight inaccuracy, but better is to play b takes a4. This is the best move actually, allowing rook takes, and already here you can see that White's position is far superior. This rook, which was left on a1, is now on a really good square on a4, attacking this pawn on a7, and this rook on the c file is doing a really good job of attacking this pawn on c6. And you can see these two weaknesses of black are already being hit. This knight is great because it's going to jump into the centre, and you can see already that the position is very good for White. But before going further into this line, I just want to demonstrate why, for instance, first off, simply a move like b4 can't be played because the pawn can just be captured. But let's say instead, first, bishop takes the knight, not allowing the knight to capture this pawn on b4. So let's say we have bishop takes. Now b4 is possible because the knight can't jump here anymore. And then we play queen to d2, attacking the pawn on b4, a5 comes, and then the star move of this line, as why knight takes e4 was so strong, as we'll see in the game, white has this fantastic move, bishop to a6, pinning this knight to the rook, so the knight cannot move, and now, after rook to e7, white will takes, and now rook comes to this weak square on c5, hitting this pawn on a5, hitting this pawn on c6. We can see the other rook's going to come over to the c file, the queen's going to come, and black is not going to be able to defend both the a pawn and the c pawn. So a sample line continuing is rook to a7, defending this pawn, rook ac1, piling up on this pawn. We then have f5, so the queen can guard this square. Then we play queen to c2, and now you can see how white's doing very well here and is actually winning this game, because you can see this is attacked and this is attacked, and after rook comes to c7, queen can take on f5, this pawn here on a5 is weak, so 2 pawns are going to be lost, and you can see from a Grandmaster of Bobby's level, almost 2600, this position is completely winning. Therefore, going back to this move a4, the best move would have been b takes a4. Now, as we said in the game, rook takes a4, we looked at how strong this was. You can see a5 now, defending this pawn which was on a7, because now it's attacked by the knight. So sorry, defended by the knight. And now we can play knight to f4, improving this knight. This knight now is great because we don't want to allow the bishop to capture it, because you can see in this structure the knight's far superior. We have something like king h8, b4, and then we have a takes, queen takes the pawn, like so. And now you can see how white's doing a lot better in this line. We've got the rook coming to a7, we've got this weak pawn here on c6, and the main point here is that this knight is attacked. If the rook moves to defend the knight, this pawn here on c6 will be captured, like so. If the arrow will come, the pawn will be captured, and if something like knight to d8, well then we can see that white is doing very well with something like rook a7 in the position, or even stronger would be queen to d6, hitting this pawn twice and improving the queen's position. Therefore, after a4 in the game, we had queen g5. Borna saw this and opted, okay, I'll try queen g5, but you can already see how difficult the position is and how strong a4 was. We then have knight to f4, because the knight does not want to be captured by the bishop, and this knight is now a very good piece on f4, because also you can see that the queen and bishop were lining up for a checkmate. So it gets out of being captured and also defends this pawn on g2. We then have b takes, rook takes, and now you can see this knight's doing a fantastic job on f4, defending the checkmate here on g2. And you can see a7's been attacked by the a rook, c6 has been attacked by this rook, and white just has a fantastic position. So a5, we see this in the game, very similar to the lines we covered with a4, and now we can see again this fantastic move, bishop to a6, again pinning this knight, and very similar to the endgame yesterday that we had with Thomas. We can see a similar endgame will appear here, where we've got good knight versus bad bishop. So bishop e6, rook c7, takes, and now you can see Bobby's completely winning. After rook takes a5, you can see that now Bobby's won one pawn, and this already will be enough for him to win, because this pawn on c6 is very weak. This knight's doing a fantastic job of guarding the pawn. White has no real weaknesses other than this pawn on b3, but with this pawn on c6 there's going to be a pawn up, and it's going to be enough for Bobby to convert the game. So let's see how he did it. Rook eb8, piling up in this pawn. Now we have rook takes c6, Bobby's up 2 pawns now. No weaknesses for white apart from this one on b3, and this can't be captured because it was in the game. And we can see now, after queen takes, Borna resigned. The reason is because now if rook takes back, we have check with the rook, king to c7, if you can spot the move, rook c7 checkmate. Obviously another one is when we come back, block with the rook trying to prevent it, one move sooner, queen c7, and then we can see rook c7 is checkmate, because this knight on f4 does a fantastic job of guarding these squares. And there you go, that was a fantastic game from Grandmaster Bobby Cheng, winning his game in round number 4. And for round number 5, we have a fantastic interview with Grandmaster Bobby Cheng, analysing his game live with FIDE Master Lorenzo Fava from Italy. So let's go into that. Hello everyone and welcome to day number 3 of the 2025 Isle of Wight Masters, and I am joined with Grandmaster Bobby Cheng from Australia and FIDE Master Lorenzo Fava from Italy. So we're looking at round number 5 and I'll give the mouse to Bobby first. Bobby, would you like to talk us through this game?
Yeah, sure. So Lorenzo played this system that he plays sometimes. We only had like an hour to prepare. This is double round day, so I didn't look too much. But I've had this position before. So actually Lorenzo said he saw my game against Lucas van Forest. He played knight c3. I played a6 and then I remember the computer was saying g4 at some point. Yeah, so here it's possible. And also, I think he played bishop e2 in the game, and I don't remember if I played knight d7 or b6, but I remember the computer was saying like g4 is a move somewhere here as well. And so he played bishop e2. Instead, I played b6, knight c3, and then I was wondering if I play a6, did I transpose to that game? And I was not sure if he had actually prepared g4. I was a bit worried about it, because it can be a bit dangerous.
Had you prepared g4 here?
No, I was mainly trying to play like solid, trying to go for roughly equal like middle game. But I mean g4, I knew it was an idea like in these positions, but yeah, as like we didn't have much time, so I didn't have time to prepare g4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a while. I played bishop b7, and I thought I was not sure take on d5 first, or like I know sometimes this is an idea. And I was not sure knight e8 or knight a6. Okay, apparently they're both fine. But I was spending a while on this. You can also take on d5 first.
Which is basically like
played rook c1, and now I was comfortable because I know this setup is very easy for black. Just knight d7 and yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to. If he doesn't take on d5, then
yeah, I could also play d4.
You could do the same thing. Yeah, you can play d4 and then sometimes.
Yeah, but then he takes.
Yeah, sometimes like black does this.
Yeah,
like, I don't know if it's now if it's this d5, but I think I prepare it by rook e8 or queen e7.
Yeah.
Because like if white ever takes d5, I'm happy, and otherwise I can take c4 and play c5 when I'm ready. I know these positions are fine for black, and it's pretty easy to play. There's no forcing lines. But he took on d5. No, I was pretty happy. Yeah, and I know in this lines, like usually white doesn't want to play d4, but that's with the bishop on g2. So like if we imagine like something, okay, just making some random moves. Like let's say I do nothing, I know in these like positions, this is what Vincent Keimer likes to play. He puts a pawn on d3 and then he goes knight e2, and then there's like knight f4 or knight d4, and there's like, this is actually a bit annoying for black, but the position we had, the bishop's on e2, which makes it a lot easier for black because there's no knight e2, and white can do the same thing, but he spends like an extra 2 tempi. So I played rook c2, rook e8, queen a1.
And this was when you were setting up on the long diagonal, and you're saying they weren't so happy with this after.
Yeah, no, I mean I know these like rook c2 or like rook c7, queen a8 ideas are like common, but it was probably not in this system. Like here it doesn't make much sense because
yeah, I don't think it makes sense here.
Yeah, here it doesn't make so much sense because like if I play d4 like I did in the game, then my bishop is just blocked. And if I don't play d4, then I'm just going to be worse.
Yep.
Yeah, and rook c8, I thought I was sort of threatening to play c5, like let's say.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
Yeah, like let's say
h3, c5.
Yeah, like c5. And now, if, like, I think d4 is already a threat, and if you play d4 here,
and now c4 because now it's defended by the rook.
Yeah, now I play b5, and this can be, and also the queen on a1 is misplaced.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to play d4 here to stop me going c5, c4, but now the bishop and the queen are booked. But yeah, queen e7.
And see if he doesn't go for this setup where he plays the queen over to a1, where do you say is the best square for the queen to be placing?
I think he should just go for this setup.
Yeah,
like even down 2 tempi, it's still probably the best thing to do.
Yeah.
This is what usually white's aiming for in this setup. Sorry, so he played rook c8. Now I thought like, because if I don't do anything, like white will actually just do that. And even with
that was my plan.
Even with the pawn on d4, it's still, I think it's an achievement for white to put the knight on e2. Because the knight on e2 is like the key. It goes to f4, And if I ever play c5, then white gets pressure like bishop 1 g2, knight on f4.
Yeah, maybe I should have played rook d1 here.
Yeah, well,
Because
rook
then,
d1, yeah.
then you would never get knight g4 because d5 is hanging.
Exactly, yeah. I got rook d1.
But like
makes
rook
more
d1,
sense.
the idea of rook c1, like just to show,
Yeah.
is that on knight e4, I would take, pawn takes, knight e5. Yeah, and then at the end, after you take on e5, pawn takes, bishop takes, c7 hangs at the end basically.
Yeah.
Whereas if the rook is on d1, c7 it wouldn't be hanging.
Yeah.
But
knight e4,
yeah,
I think bishop
knight
f1.
e4 here,
Bishop
probably just
f1.
bishop f1 or like,
Yeah.
horse.
I mean, knight e2 sometimes is knight f2, but anyway, I mean, white is solid enough.
Yeah.
It's much better than the game. Rook c1. Yeah, like I was thinking I can make some improving move like h5, but then white goes bishop f1. And once the knight gets e2, like, let's say c5 here, I thought knight e2. Okay, I don't think this was so bad. Apparently it is. So c4, I thought he can just take, but...
Yeah, then maybe there's
anyway. But I thought c5 here makes sense, because I'm turning c4, and then b5, and yeah, I mean with the bishop on b2 and queen on a1, of course everyone's going to take on c5, but in this sort of position, like black just achieved everything, and the white queen is actually out of play, and I know these positions are very dangerous for white when I just do what I did in the game, like especially with the queen on a1, like it just felt like I've seen like some similar positions where this works, and I thought with the queen on a1 it must be working if it works in the other positions.
Yeah, and this move 15 d takes c5 was saying, obviously, as you were saying before the game, it makes sense, you know, that you want to open up with the bishop, but the computer's given it as a inaccuracy, and you were saying that's because, Bobby?
Well, because once we get this fluid structure, I'm going to go knight g4 and d4, and white pieces are just not well placed.
Not well placed,
defend
yeah.
it. But the thing is, like, I think everyone takes on c5 because otherwise, why did you put the pieces here?
Yeah,
I'm also threatening c4. Like, if you do nothing,
exactly.
I'll play c4. I mean, I thought this was a threat, but apparently not. Because if I get b5, it's really bad.
Yeah, but
you can
yeah,
take
the
and
computer
play.
finds a way like a4.
Take a4 is important. Okay, and this actually apparently I've messed it up completely. So c4 was not actually a threat, so I was completely wrong.
And as you said, Lorenzo, after the game as well, obviously, you know, it seems very counterintuitive. You know, you have your bishop on v2, queen a1, and you obviously want to take and open up, and it's you know, it's very understandable from this move that you played.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really sense the danger like during the game. I mean, if the idea is like if I don't take on c5, then he doesn't get this. Like his pawn structure is fixed.
Yeah, I don't get to play
basically.
d4. Yeah.
He doesn't get to play d4. So
yeah.
But yeah, the main idea that I didn't like really understand was you should prevent b5. But like that's why a4 is best move, or like h3 and then
like
b4.
if you do nothing,
then
it's very bad. Yeah, b5.
But yeah, I just want to take on c5, get the hanging pawn structure, and then play it. But
yeah, I mean, if you look at the game live, it made a lot of sense logically, you know, with the way your pieces are placed to go for this. So
yeah, because you can get this something similar from like the Moran, the semi-Slav, and it's like okay, it's usually like around equal, but like this just looked like a really good version for black.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't too unhappy.
Yeah, I thought I was threatening 95. So I was expecting 94 because it's such a natural move.
Yeah, I mean.
Because otherwise I go 95, I thought. Otherwise I don't even see a move. Like b4, like the moves the computer is suggesting, like I don't think anyone plays. Knight d1.
Yeah, b4 is like, what is that?
Well, b4 is just to make sure you don't get like attacked with d4.
Yeah, but if the best move is b4,
yeah, there's no way you're going to play that. I was expecting this. And then
yeah, I mean, knight e4 I was actually quite happy, but then as soon as I played knight a4, I was like, what if he goes knight g4?
Yeah.
And then.
But actually, you're not really threatening anything. So
No, but I didn't see a move for you. That's the thing.
like if I just play like h6, it's like.
Yeah, okay, h6.
No, okay, I'm not going to play h6, but.
I don't know. Because you can't play knight e5, which was that.
Exactly, yeah.
I was trying to stop it.
No, but my point is just. No, because like let's say your pawn is on h3 and I don't have knight g4, then okay, it's still better for black.
Yeah, I mean, black is just better. Yeah.
It's not a big deal, I guess. Like yeah, I already saw like just concrete problems. Like okay, you can also never take this pawn because I just got
f6 exactly. I'm just
along
losing a
with
piece.
things.
Yep.
So like the whole thing, putting the pieces here did not like if the queen was somewhere on like d1 or something, then maybe white's surviving.
Yeah, because
the queen's just like out of play for the whole game.
Yeah, it was getting actually pretty interesting here in the game when this knight landed here, and when you as well move the queen over to h6, I could tell that, you know.
But then
starting
by then it was already.
No, yeah.
Sorry.
Right now
that time,
it's,
yeah.
Yeah, actually, I was not sure. Like, I'm not even sure what my threat is because.
No, that's what I was thinking during the game.
Yeah,
I was like,
kind of
what's
funny,
his next move?
It's kind of funny, like.
But again, then I still need to make a
It's
move.
hard to find a move, yeah, because if you play h3, you weaken the g3 square.
Yeah, and then take bishop g3,
Bishop
just
g3,
lost.
yeah, like this. Okay, king.
Yeah, this is what we were discussing after the game.
This
Bishop
is
g3,
like-
just lost.
But then, like, if you somehow pass the move, I'm not
Yeah, if
sure.
I play bishop f1, d4, and now
Yeah,
f3
exactly.
is
If you play exactly like
So-
this, then I take f3.
I thought maybe rook d1, like to pass the move basically.
Yeah, if you actually just pass the move, like I was not sure if d4 is
d4
working. Like
takes.
I didn't.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
take and then h2 is hanging, but what's
Okay, I wasn't sure how.
king
Yeah.
f1? King f1 is good.
Okay, I would have calculated it. I saw this and then.
King f1?
Yeah,
Okay,
93.
93.
I didn't see 93.
93 is, yeah.
I saw queen h4. Yeah, I was like probably works, but okay, I didn't see 93. But I mean, it was like I didn't see a move for you. Like,
Yeah, I
kinda
thought,
funny.
I don't know.
I mean, you
Like,
can play like queen b1. Okay, I'm just like something must work. Like knight f2 takes and even like d4 and.
yeah, d4 is probably just fine.
So, like, okay, let's say you literally just pass, like, I thought this probably works. And, okay. I thought, like, d4. Yeah, I thought d4 was working.
Yeah, d4, like
Yeah,
d1.
I thought you had to, like, take on d4. And, yeah, but anyway, it was, like, hard to make a move. Yeah, I thought you might play this. Because if I take, like, it's not so bad for you. And if I play d4, then, I don't know, this at least was a little bit messy. I wasn't really
d takes d3.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure, actually.
Wait, d takes d3, c takes d6.
Yeah, take.
f2, king h1.
Okay, I just yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's not so
just-
clear. Before is it's quite natural. I played rook e1 and now I guess
Yeah, rook e1,
it makes sense because it
No,
defends
no.
against knight f2, but now
d4 just lost.
the d4, yeah, and then
Yeah, I
it's
just
actually-
missed on e takes d4. After bishop takes f3, I can't recapture
Oh,
with
yeah,
the bishop
it's pinned.
because it's pinned.
Yeah,
Queen takes d1 is made.
and yeah, now
At this point, yeah, it's just lost.
okay, computer saying best move is bishop takes d4, which is obviously lost. But actually, I didn't see the win after
Yeah,
h3.
h3.
Computer, I knew it was winning. I just didn't actually see the win.
Yeah, there's many wins, but the easiest
many wins.
is d takes
Because
d3.
I was spending all my time calculating.
Yeah.
Okay, the most natural follow-up is bishop g3, but then after bishop c4, like in my head I was just taking on e1 automatically, which is indeed the computer's confirming it's not so clear. Because I didn't see a win here, there is no win.
Yeah, I mean, black is just black.
But I didn't see that I could just move my queen, which is very counterintuitive. And now white's just completely lost. I just got even 95 and like,
Yeah, I didn't see this either.
because in my head I'm just taking on e1 like automatically.
Yeah, I mean, I guess even there, you know, with the bishop on g3 and yeah.
I think the key is just that you don't want the queen to come in with tempo. Like
Yeah.
I'm just learning bishop takes f3.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's just no moves.
I
So
guess
that
there,
was-
you know,
yeah.
you can see that obviously that's when you wish that your queen wasn't away on a1, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, this is what we were
That was
discussing.
one win, but this is actually
King
much,
takes
much
f2.
cleaner win that my opponent saw.
Yeah.
Okay, there's even this one, which
Yeah, and then queen h. Yeah,
and
bishop
it
g3.
looks like a worse version because I don't have my d4 pawn.
Yeah, and then queen
But
h6 is on the move.
for the key is that the
Yeah,
pawn
yeah.
is on g4 instead of h3.
Yeah, this is winning as well.
I also
But yeah, I
That's
mean,
nice, man.
much easier. Win.
bishop takes
Yeah.
f3.
I don't know why. I
Yeah, and
didn't
then
see-
queen h4. Is just
I don't know
winning.
why I didn't see the queen was going h4. I just thought the queen was going e3. This is actually much easier,
Yeah, queen
and this is the
h4
reason why my opponent didn't play it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I hope I would have seen it because I was even like looking at this, but then queen d1 is not so clear.
Yeah, this at least give me some.
Yeah,
some
it is,
hope.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean this is winning. as
yeah,
well.
I didn't see the win. But then he just took on a6,
Yeah,
which is basically I think like resigning. I don't actually. I was not sure this is actually winning, but okay, apparently it wins in many ways. But yeah, I can just take the bishop. Yeah, and then queen goes to h6. And, okay, white has a bunch of pawns, but I always have like basically you can't even put a queen or a
Yeah.
rook on a dark square,
Yeah, it's just
and
lost.
once I just trade the knight, like then it's just mate. So okay, now it's like actually if you play bishop g7, I was gonna play queen h5.
Bishop g7 you can take as well.
Yeah,
Though.
I can also take, but like
Because
I was
at
just
the
gonna
end-
play queen h5
yeah.
and then play knight e5 and
Yeah, because at the end there's rook e1, mate.
yeah. No, I mean like you should play like take c6 and g3 or something,
Take c6.
and then
Wait,
g3.
where?
No, like if I take on g7,
Mm-hmm.
like take on e8 c6.
Oh, okay, I
And then
see.
play like g3. Okay, it's completely lost, of course. No, but I just play queen h5.
Oh, I see.
Um, No, anyway, okay. It's I just trade the knight.
Yeah, I could have. I don't know. Yeah, here it was just lost.
Yeah, no, I thought that obviously if he takes on G7, I was wondering that if you're just going to play
No, I was going to play
Queen H5 or whatever.
because I'm learning bishop E5.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
just
but
getting-
even if.
And if he goes back, then I just play knight E5.
Even if you take on.
No, of course I can take.
G7, yeah, just
No, yeah, there was mate at the end, but I
Takes,
thought like, I mean,
takes.
it's worth a piece to trade off
Takes,
this queen on
takes.
h5. Yeah,
Takes
c6.
H2.
No, of course I can't.
Yeah, if you take on H2, the rookie one.
You want to-
I thought you might play like c6 and g3 or something, but
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, this
Anyway.
one. Yeah.
anyway.
That was a nice one. Right, guys. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed. This was the official recap of round number 5 from the 2025 Isle of Wight Masters. Fantastic game. It's great to have Bobby and Lorenzo in the studio, and we wish both of you guys the very best for your next round.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.